All right. Now, before we get into this, anybody have any issues? Just bring it up in the chat. If you can't hear, can't see, something goes wrong. I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody. But if you have anything to say at any point, you can unmute yourself and just call me out, and I'll stop where I'm at. I'm really, really proud of this info that I put together for this. I'm proud of everything that I put out, but this I put a lot of time into it. And it's the latest and greatest. You know, we've done some immune talks in the past. We'll do a little bit of immune system basics today, but I know most of us are really interested in like what to do for prevention, and then what to do once we get sick. And that's what this is about. I'm going to try not to use any of the code words that get you booted off of YouTube. So that would be the V word. And I think for that, my code word is going to be the Kool-Aid. Okay. And then the I word, the IVE, that thing. I don't know what to call that. We'll call it something else. I'll call it the I word. Okay. So that'll be my code words. But before I get into this, I just want to say a few things here. First of all, I get the question every now and then, especially with new people. I'm visiting with clients, at least 2 clients a day, and I've been doing this for 10 years. So I've got thousands of hours under my belt of just working with people, and every now and then I get the question like, why listen to me on something like this? First of all, I've been doing this for 10 years. I visit with clients every single day. My life is health. That's all I do. That's all I think about. It's all I care about is making myself healthy and then figuring out how to communicate what I feel like is the most important information to the people that I care about, which is you guys. Okay. I have this gift. I have at this point now an intuition about what it is that we need to know, because if you just take a look at any of the people that we follow, and you look at their recommendations and protocols for anything, whether it's nutrition, whether it's sleep, whether it's immune system protocols, like they all have their own thing. And a lot of things are similar, but then there's a lot of things that are different, and there's a lot of things that are complex. I'm going to show you. One of my favorite resources for this was Chris Masterjohn's piece that he put together. It's like 53 pages long. The FLCCC, which we're going to cover just a little bit today, their documentation, their comprehensive guide was like 42 pages long, right? But regardless, like I am following the best of the best, the people that I trust and that I love to learn from. I am constantly reading. I am in the scientific literature. I get summaries sent to me every week. And I just have this really good knack for figuring out like, what is it that we need to know from all of this information? What is the practical stuff that we can put into practice that is something that is doable for most of us, right? Because some protocols are just not doable for a lot of people. They're so complex, right? What is the most practical thing that we can implement and get the results that we're looking for, while keeping it as simple and elegant as possible, because we want to make this work in a modern lifestyle. That I feel like that is my gift, okay? And I'm honored to be in this position. I had a conversation with one of my cohorts last week, and I have this network of nutritional therapists and other practitioners. I got a functional medicine doctor in our little mastermind group. It's great. We were talking last week, and we were just going back and forth, updating each other on things, and I was explaining to him like what I'm trying to do here, or what I am doing, what we're working towards. And when I say we, I mean this community, Superhumans United, the people that I work with. Okay. And I was trying to explain to him, and as I was walking and talking, and for some reason for me, walking facilitates a lot of conversation, good conversation and thinking. And I want to awaken people, and I want to awaken people to the degree that I'm awoken, if that's a word. I don't know if that's a word, but and that's, we were getting into these really sketchy conversations that I think some people might even consider conspiracy theory type stuff, right? And we were trying to figure out like what's the best way to say things that you really want to say without turning people off. And we just went back and forth about this, but I want to say a few things here, because this is from the heart. Like I care, I really care. I hope you guys can see that and feel that. If you can believe in our way of eating, which I know that we all do, right? Then that means that you also embrace animal foods, you embrace herbivore meat, red meat, you embrace saturated fat. And if you do that, then you automatically have to have some skepticism of anything that comes from the government or world organizations, period. And in fact, I would say that when you really look at what it is that we need to do to be healthy, it's the opposite, like the direct opposite of what we've been told most of our lives and what is still being perpetuated out there. Okay. Now, I don't think that that is, I don't think that's a mistake. I don't think that that's just, like it misinterpreting some data and some science and putting out the wrong information. It is so ass backwards that I believe that it's intentional. I really do. Because you can't fuck it up that bad unless you're doing it on purpose. All right. Now, who or what is behind all of it? That's the mystery, but we do know that there's just a lot of corruption. It's a lot about money and power, and there's a lot of different routes that we can go down as far as that goes. But like, think about things like global, what's the climate change thing? Global warming, right? It's a farce. It's a farce designed to make us stress out about something, and so that they can manipulate us in some way, right? The plant-based agenda, the anti-meat agenda. I believe I believe that the people at the top of this know what the heck they're doing with it. The war on terror, it's a farce. Okay, the candy mandate. Okay, now whether you, I'm not saying whether to or not, whether it's good or bad or anything like that. What I'm saying is, look at what's happening with this. Look how divisive it is. Look how permeating it is over the entire planet. This is not a pandemic. I don't see ambulances going up and down the roads, and I'm not saying people aren't suffering. I have people that I care about that have died from it. So I'm not saying that it's not something serious, but it's not what they're making it out to be, whoever they are. The unsound money thing. I just got finished reading this amazing book, The Bitcoin Standard, because I was kind of curious about this whole crypto thing. And the first part of the book went through this history of the world's financial systems and how all these different populations that were successful and then devolved. I don't know what we're told in history books, things like the Roman Empire, right? It was because of moving from a sound currency to an unsound currency. So how the Fed controls money, right? When I went through, when I was at West Point, my major was in economics and systems engineering. And, we're taught in economics that the Keynesian economics theory, the Fed controlling the money and interest rates and being able to print money was a good thing. It's not a good thing, but we're led to believe that it is a good thing. So, the US fighting wars abroad to spread democracy and freedom and Christianity. Is that really what we're doing? Now think about it. The reason I'm bringing this up is because whatever is happening at a really fast pace now. I hope we can all see the urgency of what's happening right now. Like, in some ways, it's very scary. And I think the best thing that we can do, I've said it all along, is to be as healthy as we can and to be aware and to just pay attention and see what's happening. Be prepared. If you have not been through the emergency preparedness class inside Superhumans United, I would do that because it is super solid. I'm revisiting that at least once a month. This stuff is really important, okay? But again, the best things that we can do for ourselves is be as healthy as we can. I would go through that emergency preparedness class, and I would save money as much as you can. And then this is the benefit of having a community. So I've always wanted something like this, right? And I'm so thankful that I started this community before this pandemic started, because now I see the potential of what we can really do in here. So I want to say, first of all, thank you for everyone that's a paying member. Every penny freaking counts. I've been building a business for 10 years, and it's freaking challenging. And everybody thinks that business owners are all banking and making a lot of money. I remember we had a huge progression a few years ago when the Max Effort crew first came over here, and we had like 160 people in the meeting in there, and I felt like Tony Robbins up front. I was all mic'd up, and I remember Brandon made a comment. He's like, "Dude, you must be banking." I was like, "I mean, I don't. I'm not." But my priority is not that. My priority is to build a business around helping people, and helping people is my first priority. But I just want to say thank you for all of you that are paying into membership. Thank you for all of you that have paid for any kind of service through me. Thank you for people purchasing supplements through me. Like, every little penny counts. And my vision for what we have here, the potential for what we have, is I need us to hit about 300 members. And once we hit about 300 paying members, then I have a lot of financial flexibility. I can pay a full-time assistant. And then a lot of that money will go towards things that are going to be extremely useful for us. Okay, so imagine being able to pay other professionals to come in and do talks, other professionals that are experts in areas that I'm not an expert on, to come in and do talks. I can pay people to do that. I've got a functional medicine doctor on board ready for this. We can have a functional medicine doctor on call that you can call or FaceTime or do a Zoom call, telemedicine 24/7. How cool would that be? I mean, we probably have to increase the membership a little bit. We'd have tiers, one that had almost like a medical insurance option in it or something like that. So once we have a certain amount of people in here, then we have some leverage that we can go out and negotiate deals. Now, as the US dollar, as they continue to insanely print an insane amount of money, and the dollar is continually devalued and we have more and more inflation, this leverage will be really useful because we can get deals on food and necessities, right? That's my vision for what we have as a potential in here. Okay, so I just want you to know that, and I want to say thank you for all of you that have been following, the support, the pay. My heart is in this. I'm doing it for the right thing because I want to help people, and I'm really thankful that now we have this community we can do this around. So and I will, as I go through some of these things, I recommend supplements. Biotics is one of my favorite companies because they are just such high quality. And I don't sell Biotics because I make money. I don't know if people think that or not. I'm very self-conscious about it, to be honest. But I believe in it. And I make money when I sell it, but I don't sell it because I do. I sell it because I believe in it and I use it myself. And every single one of the protocols that I put out, whether it's on food or sleep or mindfulness or the emergency preparedness, like every single one of those things has already been vetted because I put it into practice and I communicate it with my clients. So all this was from the heart. And I just want to say thank y'all very, very much. All right. So that is my soapbox that I'm getting off of. And we are, yeah. All right. So we are going to move into this. All right. And again, if you have any questions, comments, just bring it up to chat or unmute yourself because sometimes I get going on some rants and I don't know that something is being put in the chat. We're going to get into this. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if for whatever reason people can't see it, let me know. And we will get into this. All right. So what is natural immunity? I think I have a definition here. I don't. It's in my other thing. Well, basically, natural immunity is facilitating your body's ability to fend off pathogens and illness by itself. Okay, so that's really what we want to talk about today. And as always, I always like to start with this piece about, considering having a vision for yourself, because that helps create leverage for making good decisions in the moment. And although we're talking about immunity today, I feel like it's so powerful to have a vision for yourself and your health, because some of these things are new and different, and we're going to be getting to these junctures and wondering what it is that we need to do and why we need to do it. Well, if we have a vision for ourselves, then we have leverage in our decision making, and we can also scrutinize what it is that we're doing based on the vision for ourselves, right? Make things a little bit easier. For me, I think it's great to have limited decisions simply because limited decisions means I don't have to make as many choices. Limited decisions means we have a way of eating. We have foods that we avoid. In this immune protocol, we have things that we're going to do that we think are super rock solid, and I don't have to worry about the rest of it. So limited decisions is liberating, and we definitely want to have a vision for ourselves. And if you haven't done that before, we've got some great resources on it. Just always consider, why are most of us here? Well, usually we come to these health talks because we want to lose weight or improve some health, but most of us probably want to prevent getting sick, or when we do get sick, we want to suffer less, and we want to be sick less often and for less duration. And so that's what this is about, okay? I'm going to skip over, because I don't think we have any brand new people in here. I'm going to skip over my little history about myself, and then we'll get right into it, okay? Now, our biggest problem when it comes to this information is, number one, misinformation. There's so much information out there, it's ridiculous. I just dare you to Google the COVID protocol, health something. You're going to get so many different opinions on it, right? So we have a massive amount of information, and we have disinformation, which is false information that is spread deliberately to deceive. And a lot of that's out there. There's just a lot of craziness right now. So what is the mainstream advice around colds and flus and natural protection? Well, if you just go to the CDC or the World Health Organization, what you'll find is absolutely nothing to do with health. It's all about, this is from the CDC side right here. Avoid close contact, stay home when you're sick, cover your mouth and nose, clean your hands, avoid touching eyes, nose, or mouth, practice other good health habits. I mean, they give a little bit of a plug for that there at the bottom, but that's it. Still, the first thing, practice good health habits, clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces at home, okay? Get plenty of sleep, fine, okay? I mean, there's a small mention of it there, but we know that that is probably the most important thing to address, okay? If they really cared about whoever they is, okay, if they really cared about us and our health, then that would not be the main message. The main message would be something else. So where do we get our info? My favorite people that I've learned from just to put this information together would be Chris Kresser, one of my all-time idols. If I ever saw him in person, I'd probably start crying. Chris Masterjohn, I've been such a fan of his for ever since I started my journey here. Paul Saladino, the carnivore guy, and then the FLCCC, which is the Frontline. I'm trying not to say the word, Frontline something coalition. That's a really good resource too, and I'm going to show that to you guys today. So again, we pulled some information from all this stuff, and we've kind of figured out what is the need to know, what do we need to do, okay? So from a functional medicine and ancestral health perspective, when it comes to immune health, we know that the number one thing that contributes to, or one of the major risk factor is poor metabolic health. Now, we define metabolic health as the absence of metabolic syndrome, which means having an ideal body composition, normal blood pressure, good blood sugar handling capacity. The opposite of that would be prediabetes or diabetes, right? Low triglycerides and high HDL. Notice we don't say anything else about any of the other lipid numbers in there. All right, so we know that poor metabolic health, I'm sure that we've all heard this. If you haven't, then poor metabolic health is one of the major risk factors for whether you're going to do well with what happens to you and how bad it's going to affect you. Okay, and I know that there's some extenuating rare circumstances like there are with everything. I have people and friends and clients that have had like horrific flus and colds, right? So, but in general, we know that having good metabolic health is going to be really, really great for you. Now, some other factors, again, what does the ancestral health realm say? What does the functional medicine realm say? Metabolic health is really important. Vitamin D levels and sun exposure is really important. And by the way, taking vitamin D is not a replacement for sun exposure. Lack of exposure to other people and environment and pathogens and toxins and things like that is actually not a good thing, because that's how we build our immune system. There's a really good podcast done by Rob Wolf and Chris Masterjohn where they had a couple studies pulling up how kids were so resilient because they're always sticking their hands and stuff and sticking it in their nose. Not that that's all great, but they are bombarded with so many different viruses that by the time they get to something, like a lot of them are so immune because they just built up such a resilient system. So the exposure is a really good thing. So the best things that we can do is strengthen our metabolic health, figure out what is the low-hanging fruit that we can do on a daily basis to really facilitate a strong immune system. And then we've got some protocols for prevention, and then also what to do when you get sick. All right, so that's what we're going to cover today. I want to go through first basics of immune system. Let me just make sure we don't have anything going on over here in the chat. If I missed something, maybe Chandler, if you can just pop in and let me know. I think we're probably doing good. Cool. All right, awesome. All right, so let's talk about immune system basics. That we'll breeze through this, but I feel like this is really useful info, just because number one, it gives you an insight into how awesome and badass our immune system is, and then also like how we can maybe support it just a little bit. All right, so the key to not getting sick during high risk seasons, okay, or at least not getting sick as often or as bad or as hard, is being healthy all year long. So if you come into cold and flu season and you're just now working on your health, I mean, well, congratulations. No matter when you start, it's a good time to start. I'm just saying, I feel like a lot of people, they let themselves go all year, and then all of a sudden it's like, I need to do all these crazy things to help improve my immune system. But I'm telling you right now, there's no amount of essential oils or vitamin C that is going to outdo an unhealthy human being. Okay. So that is the key, is just being healthy all year long. Our immune system is constantly working. We have three main areas or lines of defense. The first one is non-specific resistance barriers. Next is innate immunity. And then we have adaptive acquired immunity. So when you think about it, we have these physical resistance barriers like our skin and our sweat and our mucus and our hair and our saliva and tears. The epiglottis is the little flap that actually goes allows things to come in and go out so that you can regurgitate or vomit. What's fascinating is in the skin, in the sweat that comes out of the skin, we have sebum. We have a very acidic pH, which means that just our sweat by itself starts to neutralize pathogens. Okay. We have lysozymes in all of our interstitial fluids and our mucus and saliva and tears and things, which are also designed to neutralize pathogens. And then if we have a really strong digestive system, our upper GI or our stomach is meant to be extremely acidic. And one of the reasons for that is because we can digest pathogens before they digest us, right? Because all pathogens are protein based, right? So if I have a really strong acidic stomach, then I am building a really strong immune system. And then we have ways of expulsing invaders and pathogens, you know, the coughing and sneezing and using the bathroom and tears and saliva and things like that. Those are all great things. Even a fever is a really good thing. A fever is your body's way of raising the temperature to try to kill some pathogens inside. And I know that there's a point at which, you know, it gets to be extremely dangerous, but if you can fight through it, like a lot of the holistic functional practitioners are also going to recommend that like a fever is not a bad thing because it's your body's way of killing off something. Of course, you know, we got to do what we got to do to work and everything else. But so then we have what we call the innate intelligence. Okay, so the innate intelligence, you can think about it as these patrol crawlers that are always going throughout the body, and they're not designed to any specific pathogen. They're designed for all invaders. Okay, so we have the natural killer cells, we have the phagocytes, which pick up decaying and dead proteins and things. We have antimicrobial peptides. Inflammation is a good thing. You know, we always hear inflammation is a bad thing, but inflammation is necessary. You know, if I have an injury, my body's going to inflame the area. The inflammation is a sign of healing and sending in a bunch of things that are designed to heal that area. What we don't want is chronic inflammation, but inflammation is a good thing. Fever, you can think of as a temporary inflammation, right? Designed to kill some pathogens. So then we have what is known as acquired immunity. Now that is the one that has a memory. That is the one that builds a memory towards a specific invader with an antigen. And this is the one that's extremely intelligent, but it takes a little bit longer to develop. All of the antigens are protein based. So that means that, some things that get into our system are not designed to be in our system. We're trying to keep those things out. And there are things that can contribute to gut permeability and the body opening itself up to invaders that it normally wouldn't be able to. And so we have this list of things. I'm going to go through here in just a second. I thought I had something up here. I think I do in a few other slides. Okay. So the point here is that, you know, what we're trying to do is in some ways is have this immune system that's constantly looking for things. And then we have an immune system that's very intelligent and specific towards specific invaders. The things that we can do to support those three lines of defense are prioritize removing and avoiding the stressors. Okay, so the things that aggravate the immune system would be things that contribute to gut permeability specifically. I mean, of course, obviously avoiding all the things that we recommend avoiding in the first place, like processed food, right? But there's specific things that will actually allow pathogens to get into the system. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Every one of our systems, including our immune system and the complexity of it, is nutrient based. So we always talk about eating for nutrients and eating nutrient dense foods. And this is another plug for that because that is how the immune system is built. Okay. And again, there's no amount of supplementation that will dig you out of a poor diet. Okay. That's why we're doing what we're doing. And then also we need proper sleep because sleep is when the body restocks its immune system and it actually deals with pathogens and things like that. You'll notice when you get really sick, you sleep a lot. And a lot of times, you know, you'll have your breakthrough or whatever when you notice you're coming out of it, and that will be after a really good solid deep sleep. Okay. So a healthy immune system, again, is not about not getting sick, because we would say in the functional ancestral realm that if you have a response to getting sick, like you actually have an all out, you feel like shit, you know, that's not a bad thing. That means your immune system is responding, like it's capable of responding, right? What we don't want is getting sick all the time and then staying sick for a long time. Or I think worst case scenario is, you know, some people, maybe this is us or has been at some point, where you always got this low level something going on and you don't feel good, but you're never really having a full blown reaction or something like that. That's probably a sign of a very weak immune system. Okay. So we did a talk a couple of years ago on immune system vitality, and it was built of these three components. It was nutrients, toxicity, and sleep. And so let's just first talk about the nutrient piece really quick. Nutrient sufficiency is the level of nutrients that is above deficiency and below excess, all right? So, and sometimes it takes some time to get to nutrient sufficiency, but this is why we recommend our definition of real food, all right? Our definition of real food, especially our big plate, is a nutrient-based way of eating. Animal foods, always using appropriate fat, vegetables and greens, any way you like it. We recommend cooking most hearty vegetables. This is a nutrient-based way of eating, especially if you throw in a little bit of dairy, a little bit of organs, a little bit of bone stock and collagen and things like that, okay? That's giving yourself everything that you need to build an amazing body, including an amazing immune system. Now, by the way, it takes about 4 months for some nutrients to become nutritionally sufficient if you've been lacking in those nutrients. And that's why a lot of times if we have some symptoms and issues and we're doing everything spot on perfect, it takes time to notice some changes or some shifts. So we got to be patient with the process, right? So the second pillar of the immune system vitality was gut integrity. What we mean by gut integrity is, our tight junctions, or, the lining of our digestive system is meant to be tightly regulated, only allowing nutrients through. And sometimes there's things that can cause those doors to open a little bit wider and a little bit longer, and it lets bad things in. Okay, so that's what we call leaky gut. The things that contribute to leaky gut, I got a list here. Always gluten, usually most seeds to some degree, depending on how you prepare those seeds. All right, hard-shelled nuts, not as bad. Legumes, if you soak them overnight, a little bit better, but still we see some anti-nutrient in these foods that will contribute to a little bit of that gut permeability. Sometimes alcohol, dairy, eggs, GMOs, nightshades. Now, what this has to do with is your own personal bio-individuality. So if you don't do good with some foods, guaranteed those foods are probably contributing to some kind of gut permeability. A lot of medications do. We recommend obviously staying off of medications as much as possible and avoiding things like NSAIDs and aspirins and things to the best of your abilities. Although we have to do what we have to do to function. Stress, we've all heard about how stress, the mind and the gut are connected, the gut-brain connection. Stress is a huge contributor to gut permeability, gut infections and imbalances, having some parasites and things like that, which is really hard to know unless you get tested for it. But the biggest contributor is going to be grains and specifically gluten, okay, in the modern diet or the modern world. So the best things that we can do to improve gut permeability is going to be remove the stressors, strengthen digestion, because digestion, that is part of the digestive process, is good gut permeability. Go through periods of fasting, because in periods of no food, the body heals itself and it heals and seals the gut. All right, so that's one of the benefits of having natural space. Now, space to us could mean 2 meals a day. It can be 1 meal a day. It could be experimenting with a 48-hour fast or a 3-day fast or something like that. But the more space we have, the better it is for the digestive system, because it heals and seals itself. But then also we can strengthen our digestive system so that we come back and have a really good, strong digestive effort. Now, if I'm eating all the time, which most people are, 3 meals a day with snacks in between, you're constantly restarting the digestive system and it never has a chance to heal. That's why space is so beneficial and powerful. I hope that music is not distracting me. Jody's got a session going on over here, okay? And then I would say also, again, we're talking about healing and sealing the gut, going through periods of a cleanse, which means pulling out a specific food to see how you do without it and how you do when you bring it back in. So if you work with us, or, obviously like my private health coaching clients, we go through this all the time. In a lot of our progressions, we talk about it like, self-testing, removing so that you can see how it makes you feel. And we have our main things that we want to experiment with, typically things like dairy and seeds in all varieties, eggs sometimes. So you constantly want to be going without something just to see how it makes you feel. And that's one of the ways that we can customize our way of eating and also minimize the leaky gut situation, okay? So I want to take a quick moment and talk about, most of us has probably seen the video that I did on strengthening your digestive system naturally. We have 3 main areas that we want to support. We want to support upper GI acidity. We want to support bile flow, which helps us digest fats. And then we want to support enzymes, which helps us break down proteins, carbs, and fats, okay? So, and then I have some specific nutrients here, and this is why we choose our digestive trio, which is hydrozyme, beta TCP. Hydrozyme is for the stomach acidity. Beta TCP is for gallbladder support and bile flow. And then bromelain plus CLA is for enzyme activity to help us break down those things. Now, yes, our body is meant to do these things naturally to some degree, but keep in mind, most of us are overcoming and undoing years, if not decades, of dysfunction and doing the wrong thing. So I am such a huge fan of supporting digestion no matter what. In fact, when you go to nutritional therapy, functional medicine school, like they start with these pillars of health. And the first pillar in every single one of them is digestion. Why? Because the digestive system is our first interface with the outside environment. And then also, the better your digestion, the better you're assimilating your food. Okay, so a lot of us are on this digestive support, even though we don't experience digestive issues necessarily, because we just want to have a really strong digestive effort, right? We're talking about immune system vitality here. Then having strong digestion means that we're digesting things before they can digest us, okay? The third pillar of that immune system vitality concept was sleep, because every physiological, biological, psychological function depends on it. Sleep is so crucial. It is the missing link, I think, for a lot of us. And some of us have extenuating circumstances we can't do a whole lot about, work and shift work and families and things like that. But I'm telling you right now, if you get the food relatively dialed in or 80% there, sleep is an area that you really want to focus on, because, and we all know it, like if you have a good night's sleep or several good nights sleep, it is a game changer. Like, I mean, I know I've had a good sleep because I'm singing when I get up, and Arnika's like, what is going, and I clap all the time, like, because I'm so excited. Like I'm in the shower, I come out and I'm shaving and I'm just like, and she knows I'm like having a great day, a great morning, which is most mornings, but but we all know it, right? So sleep is so important. We're talking about immune system. So sleep is when the immune system restocks itself. And that is where it is the time that the immune system deals with infection and malignancy and sicknesses, because when we're awake, it's all systems go. We're dealing with everything else, right? A lot of other great benefits that come from sleep, like resetting the metabolic state, which is why fasting glucose is such a telling marker, and fasting insulin. It modulates your microbiome, which means, if we're not having a bunch of food coming into the system, a lot of stress, then we can kind of calm that down. And then the cardiovascular health, sleep is when, we have our lowest pulse rate. We're supposed to be the calmest and coolest, right? So sleep is super, super crucial. Most of us have probably heard this before, but just to give a plug, the biggest things that we can do is, number one, be consistent with our bed and rise time, because we can set our own internal clock by making ourselves go to bed and get up at a certain time. We all know what time we have to get up to have an amazing day. Backwards plan 8 hours from there, or the best you can. And you want to be consistent with that. You don't want to have different sleep schedules on the weekend and catching up on your sleep and things like that, unless you have to, but consistency is crucial. Because part of this is aligning ourselves with the rising and setting of the sun and the light and dark cycles, but part of it is also we can control it to a degree if we are consistent. So I get up every morning at 3:30, no matter what. I mean, I don't care, what happened the night before. I'm just so habituated to it. My body is so habituated. If I try to sleep in, I can't. Like my body starts moving and wiggling because it's used to it, right? So my body knows when to secrete cortisol to get that little boost in energy in the morning. And I can't change that because I have been so consistent with my bed and rise times, right? So consistency, really important. And then mimicking the day during the day, making sure that you're outside, getting a lot of brightness, that's going to set your circadian rhythms in a positive direction. You need to have some brightness without sunglasses, because that's filtered light, it's dirty light. We'd say the sweet spot's about 30 minutes a day. 15 minutes is better than not getting anything at all. And then in the evening, we want to mimic the night during the night. So when the sun goes down, or we're a couple of hours out before our bedtime, we want to minimize our stimulus, put on our blue light blocking glasses, make our house really dim and dark and cool, and make sure that our bedroom is like a cave. Okay. So that's just a little review of some stuff there. Let me just see if we got anything going on over here in the chat. I don't think we do. Otherwise, somebody would have said something. We're doing good. All right, cool. How is this info so far? Somebody give me a thumbs up or a hell yeah. I know that's what Matt likes to say, or something. Give me some feedback. I do really good with head nods, and I can't see too many heads right now because I'm
good to go, Paul.
All right, cool. Thank you. Awesome. Anybody else? Is this good? Useful? Give me some.
Hell yeah.
All right. Like it. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Now we're going to get into the full stuff. Now we're going to get into the cool stuff. All right. So let me get back over here. Now, again, compilation of everything that we know so far. All right. Low hanging fruit is basically, what are the things that we can do that are doable in a modern lifestyle to make us as strong as possible. Okay. This is a little graph that I put together. All right. So we've got real food with a focus on nutrients and metabolic flexibility. Guess what? That's the way that we eat, right? If you eat the way that we recommend eating, eating for nutrients and eating in a way that trains the body how to use fat for fuel, that is metabolic health right there. You do have to have sleep factored in and things like that, but that is the way to eat, all right? Our way of eating. We want to improve our quality and duration of sleep, right? So we just talked about that. For fitness, there's so much research on the benefits of fitness in conjunction with eating well and sleeping well, right? So moving most days. I like it the way Colby says, getting sweaty most days, like having this intention to just move most days, right? You don't have to kill yourself every day. I am a big fan, if you watched my Fitness Foundations video, of what is known as changing positions all day, every day. So if you were here watching me, I don't know if anybody notices, like I'm going out of my office 10 times a day to throw the Frisbee with Conan. And as I'm out there, I pop into the bottom of the squat. I do some, what do you call those, bootstraps, and I do some stretches, and I get on my knees and I kind of do some hurdler stretches. I'm just constantly changing my position because we've all heard how deleterious sitting is, but standing all the time is not good for you either, because that's a constant position. So at a minimum, and in fact, I think this is more powerful than anything else we can do, changing positions all day, every day is going to be extremely helpful. It manages your blood sugar levels. If you move after you eat, that's a really good thing too, because you take the excess glucose from your system and you pull it out of the bloodstream. And then resistance training is awesome. Of course, you know, if you're here local, a lot of us are going to the CrossFit Combine. I think the programming here is awesome. You just show up and do it and you're good to go in the fitness realm, right? Over on the hygiene piece, right? Again, this is the low-hanging fruit. Washing hands, gargling, and nasal irrigation. We're going to talk about that today. And then supplements, we're going to talk about some supplementation. And then getting outdoors is extremely useful for a lot of reasons. Like, it's good for us, it's healthy, you feel great every time. By the way, we have an amazing hike tomorrow at White Rock Hills Loop, right? So you're welcome to join us if you didn't know about it. But getting outdoors from an immune system perspective, a lot of what we're exposed to, the damage is in the dose. Okay, so we're going to be exposed to stuff all the time, all right? But it's when those things start to replicate and we get a lot of exposure, parts per million, that it becomes a problem and we get overtaken. Okay, so the more that I can spend time, why is cold and flu season in the winter and the fall and the winter? In the early spring, because we're cooped up inside with each other so much. We're exposed to so much more. We're exposed to the same things, but just in higher amounts. So the more that I can get outside and get fresh air, again, every hour at least, I'm walking outside for all these reasons. It's almost like we're flushing out the system. It's almost like we have some natural ventilation going on, okay? Also, we know through scientific research that UV light radiation actually kills most pathogens. It kills most viruses. So again, getting outside, getting some sun is going to be useful from an immune system standpoint. Okay. Let's see. So that's my low-hanging fruit. Okay. Those are things that we can all do. If you are in the community, I have a great PDF that summarizes all this information. These are things we could be doing every day anyway. If you're not in the group, then I'll email that as a courtesy follow-up to this. So super simple things to do. And by the way, these things, if you're doing this, so I love my functional medicine doctor. He is so intelligent. He's so awesome. And we have conversations all the time. And I was asking him because Arnica has a really rare autoimmune condition, right? And he's got her on some specific protocols and things. So she doesn't do my supplements anymore. And I was asking him, you know, so what do we do when she gets the vid, you know? And he's like, honestly, like, you guys shouldn't have to do anything. Like, the majority of people that are relatively healthy, when you come into contact with any of these things, you're going to get sick and you're going to get through it and you're going to have a natural immunity to whatever it was. Okay. So what I'm saying here is, if we focus on these things here, then you're pretty good to go. This is the best thing that you can do. And again, there is no amount of vitamin C or supplementation that you can do that will outdo this powerful stuff. Okay. Now there's some things we're going to recommend, but I'm just making a plug for the most simplistic things in the world are actually the best things in the world for us. Okay. So let's get into a little bit of prevention. Now, as I mentioned, most viruses are going to replicate in the nasal passage in the back of the throat. Okay, so that's where all that happens. That's why, you know, when you first start to get sick, you notice that little itch, that little tingling. For me, I haven't been sick like literally in like 5 or 6 years. It's amazing. I used to get sick at least once a year, and I'm not saying that it's good or bad if you do or don't, right? We've already said like getting sick once a year, a couple times a year is totally normal. But I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, when I do get sick, like it's like I have that little tingle, that telltale little kind of scratchy, and then you're in denial for a little bit. You're like, no, that's not what it is. And then you start to feel like crap. You're like, fuck, that's what it was. Okay. So that's where it happens. Is it the majority of it is in the nasal passage, the back of the throat, and sometimes the eyes. Okay. So what we want to do at a bare minimum from a hygiene standpoint is we want to wash our hands regularly. Now, I am not a fan of, and neither is anyone in the ancestral functional medicine world, of antiseptics, sanitizers. You just want a soap, okay? A soap is meant to dislodge debris, pathogens, and things like that, and wash down the drain. So it's not meant to disinfect your hands, because your hands have a microbiome of themselves that is designed to protect you. So if you're constantly disinfecting yourself, you're disinfecting the good guys too. So what you want is just to wash your hands with soap. I have a little squirt bottle of my own soap in here. I hate using the little squirt thing there in the bathroom because I know it's disinfectant stuff. And what you want to do is you want to scrub your hands. You hear the traditional 20 to 30 seconds, because that's how long it takes, number one, to get your whole hands. That friction is extremely beneficial, because that friction is dislodging. It's the friction, the heat itself is kind of neutralizing some pathogens. So you want to do that 20, 30-second thing. And I'd say do it, anytime you feel like you're exposed to anything, as often as you can remember. If you're doing just regular soap, then I don't think there's a problem with that. If you're doing disinfectants, then I don't know. I mean, you got to maybe find a way to have some regular soap around, right? So, and I want to say this here. I just want to mention, everything is everywhere. Okay. So if what we're saying is these things replicate in your nasal cavity in the back of the throat, then how do they get there in the first place? Well, of course, if someone sneezes in your face, that's one way, right? But it's when we touch our face. It's when we pick our nose. It's when we wipe our sweat from our face or something like that, right? Things that we just do and we're not aware of. And keep in mind, this is some pictures of me standing outside my Jeep. All right. So I'm standing outside my Jeep. Whatever's out there, I'm getting it on my feet, on my shoes, right? This is me standing at the urinal, right? Whatever's there, I'm getting it on my feet. This is me in the gym. Okay, wherever is there. This is me with my hands on the ground doing a Spider-Man stretch in the gym. Okay, so what I'm saying here is everything is everywhere. We're all going to be exposed to everything to some degree. And at the same time, we want to be careful about touching our face, because everything is everywhere. Okay. It's so funny. So everybody gets so hung up on washing hands, but we don't say anything about feet, I'm at the dog park stepping in dog crap, I clean my shoes and everything. I'm just saying, like, we're in here crawling hands and knees, and everyone's just be aware of it. Just wash your hands as much as possible. Okay. All right. Now, again, here we are. Now here I am paranoid about touching my face as I'm talking about that. I'm like trying to hear this. We're talking about prevention, right? I think this is perfectly appropriate. And again, these are some guidelines that we got from a lot of different places. All right. So the FLCCC, Chris Masterjohn's comprehensive little put together thing. I read a couple of immune system books a couple of years ago, and they all recommend this too. Okay. So if what we're saying is the replication starts back here, then it might be beneficial to gargle a couple times a day with a mouthwash. Now the mouthwash needs to serve the purpose of disinfecting. Okay. So I think the most useful thing is going to be the providone iodine solution. Usually when you buy this, and by the way, I'm so glad that I did this myself before doing this talk, because if I could have videotaped myself doing this, I would have gotten such a kick out of it. So most of these iodine solutions come in this, I think it's 10% solution. So you have to dilute it. Okay. And so what's optimal is that you have this diluted, providone iodine solution, and you gargle with it for 30 seconds. I think for a lot of people, that's just going to be really gross, because it does taste kind of bizarre. Okay. But I think it's the most effective thing, but you can also do Listerine. We're not huge fans of Listerine in general, because your mouth also has a microbiome and you're kind of disinfecting it. But if you're just mainly focusing on gargling in the back, I think that's perfectly appropriate. And then one of my favorite things is this product called Immune Mist. And I'm really thankful that I got that, because it's way easier than doing the providone iodine solution. I think it's probably my most recommended thing here. I got one other. And you just do a few sprays in the back of the throat and then you gargle with that. Okay. So it's got a combination of, I can't remember what's in it. It's got some of the providone iodine solution. It's got some other things in it. Okay. So those are all perfectly acceptable. Gargling a couple times a day, maybe after you brush your teeth or something like that would be ideal. Okay. So again, we're trying to stop that replication of the pathogens in the back of the throat and the nasal cavity. Now, for supplements, we're going to first make a plug for eating nose to tail. So again, if our immune system is dependent on nutrients, then we want to get the majority of our nutrients through real food, and then supporting eating animals nose to tail, because we should be eating an entire animal, because we are an entire animal and we need all the nutrients from all the different body parts to facilitate this animal. One of the best modern day hacks is going to be consuming bone stock. And I'm telling you right now, I mean, I have to constantly make it because I'm constantly drinking it. Like I'm drinking at least a quart a day. Okay. I'd say a half quart a day would be awesome. All right. Because we're getting all the nutrients from the dissolved cartilage and connective tissue and tendons and ligaments and all that into this. It's a magical elixir. You know, it's a very powerful liquid. So, so that would be top of the list. And you guys have probably heard a lot of this before, but still, I got to make a plug for it. Collagen has so many great benefits about it. Over 35% of the protein in our body is collagen matrix based. Okay. So I love the collagen that we sell. I think it is the best thing out there. The only thing is it's flavored. And if people don't like flavored and they just want something neutral for the coffee, it might not be the, well, actually it's great for coffee, but it might not be good on other stuff. But we're out of it right now. By the way, as I make recommendations for some of the biotics things that we sell, if I don't have it, when I post this in the group, I will give you alternatives that you can purchase these things on Amazon, something that's a reputable, company. When you do collagen, if mine's not in stock or you want a non-flavored, then I would always look for a multi-collagen. I've kind of moved away from the Great Lakes and the, what was the other one we recommended? The Anthony's, because I was just trying to make some cheap recommendations. Great Lakes is grass-fed collagen, but it's only type 1. So that it's only based off of, I think, just skin and hide. And what we want is a collagen that is a combination of a lot of different types of collagen. They call it types 1 through 10. And that seems to be the most healing and the best for the immune system. And that's my new recommendation. And so I have a couple of products on Amazon that you can get that through. Biotics hydrolyzed collagen is a mix of the 1, 3, 5, 8, and 10 or something like that. So, all right. Again, eating animals nose to tail, eating for nutrients, organ therapy. A quarter pound of liver a week is great. Okay. You can get that through just cooking some liver and eating it, making it our liver balls or liver burgers. Or, by the way, if you attended the meatball cook off the other day, I think that had more liver than I intended, because you shouldn't be able to taste the liver. And I definitely taste the liver in that. But anyway, so liver burgers, great. Pates. Whole Foods now has these little pre-made pates and things, different flavors, different animals, chicken, pork liver, and things like that. Those are great. And then, organ supplementation is great too. So I love our neonatal multigland, which is an organ from every part of the animal, every organ of the animal. And then I usually combine that with cytozyme LV, which is their liver product. And then now that we're in the immune system, we're talking about the immune system, the best organs for the immune system are going to be the spleen and the thymus. There's a really cool video that I'll share with you guys in the post that I do with this, where it talks about how the thymus works. The thymus is where a lot of our immune cells are created. So if I'm consuming thymus, then I am doing a lot of good for my immune system. And a lot of protocols, and not just from biotics, like other practitioners in the functional holistic realm, all recommend things like during the immune season, like eat thymus, consume thymus supplementation. So super, super powerful combo right here. And then we've all heard this. This is something we should be taking on a regular basis anyway. Vitamin D3. One of the things that we see as a comorbidity or you could call it like a co-disease or something like that, is low vitamin D levels. Now, vitamin D3 is not going to be a replacement for sun exposure. I think it's going to be synergistic with it. I think regardless of how much sun exposure you get, unless you know what your 25 OHD is that you get from your blood work, I think everyone's going to be totally fine taking 2,500 to 5,000 IUs of D3, because it's going to be very hard to get a toxic level on this, especially if you're eating a lot of real food, okay, because you're balancing out a lot of nutrients there. So I love our BioDK caps. That is 5,000 IUs of vitamin D3, and it's a blend of different K2s, okay? And you have to take this with food because it is fat soluble and it needs the digestive effort and presence of fat to be digested properly, okay? Also, preventative, I think, like as an ongoing routine preventative maintenance thing, I think everyone would benefit from 500 to 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Right now, I've got BioC plus 1,000 in here, which means every tablet is 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Now, that's water soluble, so you can take it any time of day that you want. And then vitamin K2, again, we're talking about immune system stuff, but this is also good to take long-term anyway. Vitamin K2, we want a broad spectrum. There's MK7, a couple different MK4s. I love our BioDK caps in here because it has a blend, but I also have a recommendation on Amazon if those aren't available. Vitamin K2 protects elastic fibers within blood vessels and lung tissue from collecting calcium deposits, which in turn prevents those fibers from being broken down. And this makes the blood vessels and lungs more elastic and better able to deal with stress. And by the way, a lot of viral issues are kind of lung and breathing based. And so that's why K2 is a recommendation in the immune protocol, but it's good no matter what, because it is a synergistic orchestrator of other nutrients. That's what's really cool about it. Dr. Weston A. Price, that dentist that traveled the world looking for healthy populations, we think he discovered it. He called it Activator X. And it was this thing that when taken with everything else, especially the other fat soluble nutrients, it just had this ability to orchestrate where to do things, where to deposit things. It was just really cool, the research that came out of that. Zinc, we're looking for 7 to 15 milligrams of zinc per most days. You can get that from 2 oysters. There's some oyster extract supplements that you can get online. My favorite's Oyster Max. I've been taking Oyster Max for a little bit now, but there's also some other ones on Amazon. And then I sell a great product in here. It's called Zenzyme Forte. Right? It's got a couple of different versions of zinc in it. So very, very bioavailable. And then melatonin. All right. So melatonin has some really cool properties about it. It's considered more like a hormone than anything else. But obviously it's going to help us sleep. Now we need to have really good sleep in order to have a good immune system. So there's that benefit, but it's also extremely anti-inflammatory. It has this protective benefit with the immune system that's kind of hard to explain, but we notice that when you have higher and higher doses, like for some reason, it kind of activates the immune system to some degree. So, what we recommend is 6 milligrams before bed, about 30 minutes before bed, because it does help facilitate sleep, but it has other benefits associated with it, okay? And that's all the preventative stuff. Now, if I tab over, I'm just going to show you what my little document looks like here. So in my natural immunity document, I've got a summary of everything that we've talked about. All right. And then we come down to our protocols. All right. So protocols, we got bullet pointed out. We got the prevention protocol. And then we've also got it put into a nice little handy nifty chart. Okay. And then at the end of it, I've got all these different references and resources. So that is prevention. Now, if it seems overwhelming or like a lot, keep in mind, a lot of these things are things we're recommending anyway, like the eating animals nose to tail, the D3, the C, the K2, like those are all things that we recommend anyway. The only things we're really adding to this that are slightly different are going to be the zinc and the melatonin. But again, a couple oysters most days, or a can of oysters a week or something like that. Melatonin, I think most people are going to sleep better from it anyway, So now we get into, let me see if we got any comments, questions, or anything else going on here. All right, cool. Nothing yet. Feel free to chime in. If you got a question, comment, snide remark, unmute yourself, jump on in.
Paul, I got.
Shoot. Who's that?
Hey, is melatonin something you're taking daily anyway, or is that just when you're trying to actively prevent illness?
Okay, so great question. I would say that you can. There is no risk. So I don't know if you've ever heard this urban myth. If you take melatonin, like your body stops producing or something like that. So there is no potential for that to happen. Like your body's always going to make it anyway. So I think it's a beneficial thing to take on a regular basis for sure. For some people, they can be really sensitive to it. I think 6 milligrams is a really good place to start. But if you notice that it like comatoses you, or it does the opposite for some people when they're first adjusting to it, makes them a little kind of antsy, then you may want to just wean yourself into it. But once you get to a good, decent dose that you feel comfortable with, I think you can take that indefinitely long term. And if for whatever reason you run out of a bottle and you stop taking it for a little bit, there's no big deal there because your body's still going to naturally produce it, especially if you're getting outside and getting sunlight. Okay, so great question. I'm going to be taking it regularly. I do take it regularly. I have it right by my bedstand. All right, cool. So let's get into, so now we got a chat here. We've been taking collagen for years now, and I use Native Path from Dr. Chad Walding. Is that okay? I have no idea, Eliza, what you want to, that's a really good question. So Eliza asks about a specific collagen. I'll try to look that up. Here, let me make a note real quick. A little bullet journal. So what you can do is you can read on the label there, and you can just see if it says anything about a multi-collagen, types 1. Because if they do, they're really proud of it, and they'll put it on there like types 1, 2, 3, and 4. You see this, Matt? I was in this today. That needed path.
Hell yeah, dude.
Love my little bullet journal. Path. All right, so I'll look into it, but you could probably read on the label, and if it is, they'll say that it has a blend of types 1, 3, 5, 8, 10, something like that. Okay, great question. All right, so now let's get into so that was preventative maintenance, right? Again, low-hanging fruit's the best thing you can do for yourself. The supplementation protocols, the gargling, and all that stuff is just a little added thing for the season that we're in right now. Okay, so that's all stuff we can do on a daily basis, right? The supplement protocols and stuff like that. No problem, but start it up again. It keeps me wide awake. What I do to, so if you don't mind me saying that vocally, so Kathy says that she took melatonin years ago, had no problems, but started taking it again and keeps her wide awake. I would say maybe back off the dosage a little bit and see if you can find a sweet spot there, and then gradually increase it, because it can have this kind of weird adjusting effect. But usually most people will kind of pull through that. But for the adjustment period, maybe just kind of back off until you feel like a little bit more comfortable, or notice the, whatever you want to call that, like the irritability going away. Okay. All right. Good question though. Most people are going to adjust to it. So, all right. So now we're talking about if we've been exposed, okay, or we think that we've been exposed, or that we feel like we're getting sick. We want to increase the gargling and the mouthwash to 3 times per day, okay? And that should not be every 12 hours. Excuse me. What would that be? 3 times a day would be what? Morning, noon, what is that? Every 6 hours or something? Waking day. All right. Gargle with mouthwash 3 times per day. All right. Because we're trying to disrupt that replication in the back of the throat. All right. And then again, we talked about mouthwash options. Immune Mist has a great mouthwash. You can do the povidone iodine, which I think has been the most studied. Listerine is also very effective. And now what we want to do to add to the mix is a nasal spray or a cleanse. And this is where I'm saying I'm so thankful that I did this before recommending it to you guys, because sometimes, I'll find something and I'm like, oh yeah, we all want to do this. Let's all try it together, right? So I got some of that povidone iodine solution. I did my little 1% dilution thing, and I got a neti pot. All right, you guys know what that is? So neti pot, and I did the thing, and I swear, if you had a video camera on me, you would have thought that I inhaled some freaking ghost peppers up my nose. I was just like, it messed me up, and I was messed up for a while after it. So it was strong. Okay, so Chris Masterjohn says it doesn't have to be a 1%. It could be a 0.5%. Okay, so if I take the 10% and I dilute it with 19 parts water, 1 part povidone iodine, that's way more tolerable. So I did dilute it down to that 0.5%, and that was way more tolerable, but still slightly uncomfortable, okay? So nasal spray options, I like the Immune Mist. I have one of those. It's kind of expensive. Also, I'm not sure how to say it, betadine. I got one of those for arnica, so we have both of them on hand. That's also a very good option, right? And so all you're gonna do with those things is just do 2 or 3 sprays in each nostril, and just make sure that it kind of coats the whole nostril. You don't have to necessarily try to breathe it in or anything like that. But those are super, super effective and really well rated, okay? So again, we're just trying to disrupt the replication of the virus in the back of the throat. Now, as a bonus, to keep something constantly in the back of your throat disrupting that replication, if you can catch that sickness early enough, then these enhanced lozenges by Life Extension are great. Now, they're zinc lozenges. The reason they're great for what we're talking about here is not because of the zinc, okay? It's because of the zinc acetate. It's the type of zinc that it is. This type of zinc actually has that neutralizing effect on pathogens in the back of the throat. So as you're gargling a few times a day, this is after you've been exposed or you're getting sick, right? You gargling a few times a day, putting the stuff up your nose a few times a day. And then if you're sucking on this, if you don't chew it and you just let it dissolve in your mouth, it should take about 20 minutes, and you do this once every 2 hours, then you're having this constant effect on disrupting that replication of the virus in the back of the throat, okay? So this would be an added bonus. I'll send you a link. If you go straight to their website and you buy like 4 at a time, you get like some huge discount. They're really, really good to have on hand. Like I had people come in here, emergency. Jody the other day was like, hey, you got any of those lozenges? Like, yeah, go ahead, take one. And then we're going to continue with our D3 supplementation. We're going to continue with our vitamin C supplementation. We're going to continue with the vitamin K2 supplementation. We're going to continue with the zinc. And then we're going to increase at exposure or at the onset of sickness our melatonin to 9 to 12 milligrams. Okay, this is what we've seen in the literature to be extremely effective. Okay, for both reasons, for the anti-inflammatory, the immune system boosting, and also the sleep benefits. Okay, do what you got to do. So, like Kathy, you know, if it's just for whatever reason this just doesn't feel right, then back off into the dose that feels right. Right. I'd say maybe most of us could start kind of gradually working our way up to 6 milligrams as it is right now. And then I will link to a really, really good resource. I think it was Chris Masterjohn that put it together. It might have been Cresser on L-arginine. They called it like the amino acid that could completely decimate the vid thing. Okay. Now, L-arginine, what's really cool about it is it's a precursor to nitrous oxide or NO production, which helps with vasodilation, blood flow, and also helps with breathing. Okay, so at the onset of sickness, you know, a lot of the viral things out there are lung and breathing based. So if you can get, I think it's a total of 3.2 grams or 1.6 grams twice a day, which for us, I think it is, with my L-arginine, it's two capsules morning and 2 capsules midday or something like that, then that's been something that we've seen in a lot of these studies. They're just kind of freaking just people just were on the recovery like the day after starting that protocol. Okay, so again, we're talking about being exposed to some stuff. Now, if you have really severe respiratory issues, this has been a pretty tried and true. Glutathione, reduced glutathione is really good for better breathing. And so the product through Biotics is GSH plus. We also, I think we're totally cool with, Jarls has one called reduced glutathione or L-glutathione. And then NAC is N-acetylcysteine, and that is a precursor to glutathione. And some people think it's better at creating glutathione than glutathione is because the body can make it way easier from that. But anyway, we like recommend taking both of them. And that is if you feel like you have some really significant breathing lung issues. Now, me and Alex F have been experimenting with a breathing protocol too, which is organic 15. It's a methyl donor, and then pneumozyme, which is lung tissue. So that might not be a bad thing either. But I think these are more bonuses unless you just know that you have a history of breathing problems or asthma or something like that. It might be, I mean, if you have a history of asthma, I think it'd be really good to have the L-arginine and these on hand just in case something goes down, right? You may notice your symptoms get better anyway. And then finally, raw honey is extremely beneficial. I think most of us have heard it's like a superfood. Yes, it has some sugar in it, but it has so many other beneficial things in it. And it's antimicrobial and bacterial for the things that we're trying to eliminate, but it's not antimicrobial or bacterial for the things that we want to keep inside of our system. That's what's really cool about it. So taking a teaspoon to a tablespoon here and there, I think is a great idea, right? Maybe before you go to bed, you know, to coffee or tea or something like that. All right. Ginger honey tea, also extremely beneficial. Drinking ginger tea is going to help disrupt the replication of the virus in the back of the throat. All right. Just a couple of other things. Working out when you feel sick is a bad idea. And I know that we all like to be these heroes, you know, you feel it coming on and you're just like, you know, like I got to push through. I remember hearing Adam Hockenberry last year said he came in and he was just like hawking up a freaking lung and just snotty and all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, man, I just noticed like if I feel sick, if I just go sweat it out, like I get through it or something like that. Right. Well, first of all, that's not true because working out is going to suppress your immune system significantly. Okay, I don't know if we're aware of that, but the working out is going to, if you're already starting to come down with something, working out is the worst thing that you can do because it suppresses your immune system and you're spreading it to other people. Okay, so the first thing you need to do when you get sick, like, is just take a rest. Okay, so resting at the first sign of sickness is the smartest thing to do. And I know we all hate to take days off from the gym, or a lot of us do. Just look at it as, reframe it as a great time to take a break because we all probably need to take a break. All right, we all probably need to not work out as much as we do. Okay, you can still do low level activity, a little bit of solitary walks and stretching, some changing positions and stuff like that. That's totally fine. Okay, and that's it, y'all. Did we do that okay? Where are we at? What time was? Oh yeah, only 5 after. Boom. Now I felt like I did kind of talk fast, but let's go ahead. Oh, let me, I was going to show you. So this is Master John's freaking. First of all, there's like 8 pages of references in here. This is his vid. This is what I mean by like I have this knack, this ability to go through and just like learn from a lot of stuff and figure out, okay, what is it that we need to do? What do we need to know? What's consistent with everybody? This thing is so freaking huge, it's ridiculous. That's Master John's. Now, another good resource, because I mentioned the FLCC, I think it's 3 C's. If you go to this page here, it's called the Frontline C, what does that stand for? Critical Care Alliance, okay? And they have all kinds of cool protocols in here, but I pretty much just summarized the consistencies between them and some of these other functional medicine practitioners, okay? But they're a really good resource. They do talk about the I word, okay? I think that if you can get a prescription for that and have it on hand just in case, it is not a freaking horse dewormer. It's one of the most, it's got some of the most valid research behind it. Billions of doses have been given out all over the world, and it is a great anti-parasitic, antiviral medication. I think it's good to have on hand no matter what. So if you can get a script for it, which is kind of hard, then I'd highly recommend having that on hand. I do. And then if you need help with that, then I'm pretty sure my functional medicine doctor is open to teleconsults right now. I don't know what he charges for them, but if you're interested in that, you can let me know if you don't have any other way of obtaining that. And there's only, it's bizarre, man. I tried to get it filled at, the script filled at some normal pharmacies and they denied it. You know, they just said they wouldn't fill it. Costco wouldn't fill it. So there's a pharmacy down south near Eastern that actually, they're super on our page. So there's some resources included. So if we look at the handout, you know, again, at the bottom, I have a summary of all the different protocols we just talked about. And if it seems overwhelming, it's really not. It's we're just adding a couple of things to the things that we already recommend anyway. But I do have it in a chart summary, and then I do have a lot of references and resources, and I'm still finishing putting this together. So if you want to dig into that information more yourself, you can, okay? And I think that's all I got, y'all. What do we got? Anybody got any questions? Let's see. I got came in late. Oh, slides be yes. Eliza said she came in late. Will all the slides be available? Yes, I'm recording the video. So if you are cool with that, then I can just like upload it to YouTube, do it as a private video, put it inside the group so we can rewatch it. I think it was pretty solid. I think it went smooth. And then I will export the presentation as a PDF, all right, so that you can go through and just scroll through the slides by themselves. Okay. I will put that in the post with it. Fantastic view, everything. Yeah. Suzanne says, fantastic information. Do everything you can to avoid hospitalization. And that's the truth. Yeah. And I think if you're doing the low hanging fruit stuff that we talked about today, I think most of us, you know, by the way, like we're all going to come in contact with everything that's out there at some point. Okay. The question is, how strong are you and how capable are you when you come in contact with it? That's what we want. We want a strong system. This is what we need to do to get there. Okay. All right. I love you guys so much. Thank you for my little rant at the beginning, but like it's from the heart. This thing has the potential to be exactly what we need it to be as the rest of the world. Unfortunately, I'm very optimistic about many things, but I am not very optimistic about how the world is devolving right now. And we have a great opportunity here in our community to support each other. As time goes on, the membership gets bigger. My commitment is to use that to facilitate better things for us. And we have leverage, like I mentioned before. We can also highlight each other's strengths, you know, like obviously, like I'm making some things and I sell it, you know, we got freeze-dried meals coming out here pretty soon. I got supplements in stock. By the way, I have stock available all the time. But if you have a strength and you're in the community that would be something that would support us in some way, let me know about it, because we can start to put together this little directory of services or something that we can all offer each other, you know? All right, what do we got? Anybody? Anything?
Thanks so much, Paul.
Hey, good to see you. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
It was really good for what I got.
Why'd you come in late?
Yeah, I was cleaning gutters.
All right. Gotta do what you gotta do. But I did record it, so we'll get it out there.
Awesome. Awesome.
Good to see y'all. I got a client coming in, so unless
Thanks,
anybody has anything else. All right. We will see y'all. Word up. Good to see you, Lamont.
Have an awesome weekend.
All right, you too. We'll see y'all at the barbecue later.